Let's talk about Scott McTominay. Going into this season, Scott McTominay was a heavily criticised, scrutinised player following many abject performances and falling short in quality that is required to be a starter for Manchester United in midfield. Amongst virtually all fans, it seemed his time was up. Many fans, including myself, thought actually seeing Jimmy Garner would have been perhaps a better option, and it was fast becoming surplus to requirements. The arrival of Casemiro seemed to signal the end of Scott McTominay's involvement as a first-team player, and it seemed like he would just be shoved further and further back in the pecking order until he eventually left the club. But that's not what's happened. He seems to have found a gear, and I want to wonder why. Is it the quality that's now surrounding him? Is Christian Eriksen having a massive catalyst on what happens with Scott McTominay? Is it the fact that he's no longer partnered with Fred? The McFred partnership seems to be ubiquitous. You could never get away from it. Bruno's now taking up deeper positions and maybe being more available from a shorter pass from midfield, not asking Scott to play those through balls, those dangerous sort of line-breaking passes that he doesn't really have in his locker. Is it that Christian Eriksen's offering better options? We've all seen the videos of where Fred sort of hides from the ball, certainly in that sort of number 6 kind of area. Doesn't often show for it. If he does, can you really trust him to receive it under pressure? And that's totally different to Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen receives the ball in tight spaces, deals with it. He also just instantly takes up better positions and releases the ball quicker, therefore simplifying Scott McTominay's game, therefore making him look better, therefore allowing him to concentrate on the things that he is actually genuinely good at, and that is being a bit of a defensive asset and certainly being a bit of a physicality asset in a team that perhaps still lacks a little bit of that. And in doing so, he's seemingly keeping one of the best midfielders in world football out of the team, in Casemiro. Casemiro's arrival in a £60 million bid from Real Madrid appeared to just totally write McTominay off. And no one was upset about that, really. Everyone was pretty happy with that, myself included. But Ten Hag has shown a lot of loyalty and a lot of faith in McTominay. Now, I'm sure at some point Casemiro's going to take over it and become the first choice. But what he has allowed McTominay to do is to build some credit in the bank. When Scott McTominay's in the starting 11, let's say he doesn't start for the next 4 or 5 games. The time that he does start, the tuts and the sighs are not going to be as loud as they previously were, because we now know we've got a player that we can probably rely on, depending on the midfield setup. If it's back to the same old, and he's partnered with Fred, maybe some of those sighs might be justified. After playing a full 90 minutes on Sunday in a 3-1 victory over Arsenal, McTominay has started 4 successive matches in midfield, and United have won all of those 4 matches. He's established a partnership with Eriksen. He seems to be able to find Bruno with the ball. And he seems to be a key part of why Manchester United have won those 4 games. So as much as people want to just say the lack of Shaw and Maguire, there you go, you win, Scott McTominay's had a hand in all 4 of those. It's undeniable. When Ten Hag was asked about the omission of Casemiro on Sunday, he said he is new to the team and he has to adapt to the team. He has to get used to my way of playing football. And the other thing is, Scott McTominay is playing well. You can't argue with that. That's facts. Against Arsenal, McTominay won 3 ground duels, made 3 clearances, won 2 tackles, completed a dribble, blocked a shot, made an interception, all while completing all of his 26 passes. Think of that. He was United's midfield's workhorse. He allowed the more attack-minded Eriksen and Bruno to flourish ahead of him. He did a very disciplined job in screening in front of that defensive pairing of Varane and Martinez. So I'm going to ask you guys, what's happened to Scott McTominay? Is the quality of Eriksen alongside him allowing him to focus on the more simple things simply the answer? Has he been coached? Has Ten Hag managed to get more out of him than previous managers? Is the competition for places, the pressure from having Casemiro alongside him or potentially overtaking him enough? Is he receiving better passes from Varane and Martinez than he previously was? What is it? These are the questions. And we're not going to know the answers until we find out whether Ten Hag has unlocked something permanent in him or if this is just a bit of a purple patch of form for him and it's unsustainable. We don't know yet. This is a man who's been crucified, who's put in performances occasionally justifying that, but he deserves his dues when he's performing the way he's performing. There was a real quality to his play at times on Sunday, and there's been a real quality to his play at times when we've seen him in the last few weeks. And I was vocally against starting him when you've got the option of Casemiro, particularly against Southampton, where I thought we were going to dominate the ball. But typically, in games where you're not going to dominate the ball, Scott McTominay is a very valid option. And it does remain to be seen whether there'll be any sort of rotation ahead of the Europa this week. I would expect Sociedad to come and want to try and dominate the ball a little bit. It might be another game for Scott McTominay, or the fact that it's against Spanish opposition, he might plump for Casemiro to get his feet wet properly as a Manchester United player. Let me know in the comments. Purple patch, something unlocked, or genuine competition for place with Casemiro? I can't believe I'm even saying that. Let me know in the comments what you think. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.